Surprise, motherfucker! What's up? This is your friendly neighborhood Venger, Satanis. How's it going? This is kind of a response to the RPG Pundit's review of Chult, Chartreuse Shadows. He put that up just a few days ago. And then just a few days before that, Neckbeardia put up his review of the second book, Chult, Fuchsia Malaise. And I don't know. Overall, I thought it was good. He compared it to his campaign setting, World of the Last Sun. He touched on a lot of good things. It would be nice. I think it would be cool to for both of us to like engage with the same subject matter. Just him and I. I mean, Joe could be there too, I guess, if he wanted to. In like a 1 hour episode of inappropriate characters, or maybe just like a side video that is not related to inappropriate characters. Because he touched on a lot of things that I thought were interesting. Some of which were insightful. I think. I think like both of us talking back and forth, I think would be a productive thing at this juncture, but I don't know. Who knows what will happen? So until then, you just have me just doing this video in response, which is fine. But where to begin? The name, I think when he brought up the fact that my campaign setting, my Eldritch Gonzo science fantasy post-apocalyptic campaign setting, is called Chult, and then his is, the World of the Last Sun. I think that was an important distinction, which most people don't think about or mention. I can remember talking to my dad about this back when it was all just like stuff in my head. Maybe I had a blog post or two, sort of about like the kind of campaign setting I wanted to create. And I told him my idea that I want to call it Chult. Chult is the name of the world, and that's what I want to call the first book. And if it's successful enough, the series, I just want it to be called Chult. And my dad, he was nice about it, but basically I think he thought that was a stupid idea because nobody knows what that is. You just made up this word. Or perhaps it's more honest to say that I repurposed another word and made it better. So, and different enough where, I could use it and it's separate from that other word. But I wanted to create something, I don't know, I guess I wanted to, in the most crude capitalistic terms, I suppose, I wanted to create a brand. But I didn't want to do it because, like, oh, this will make me more money, or this will make it easier to sell my ideas to whoever, or, people or game stores or companies would look more favorably upon it if like there was this whole brand thing attached to it or whatever. No, I did it purely for lack of a better word, magical reasons. I wanted to create something sort of out of nothing. And for that thing to, I don't know, form itself into reality, and for that reality to just sort of expand into something. So, because before I, wrote this and started promoting it and playing with it and things like that, what was the name Chult? CHA'Alt. It was nothing. I created it out of, there was no Chult before me. And I didn't want it to just call it like Fuchsia Sky World or Desert Planets with, I don't know, weird alien eldritch shit around, or just some cool bunch of words that people know, like Obsidian Space Opera Post-Apocalypse, or something like that. I wanted to create something new, and for that to eventually, I knew it was going to be a long process, but eventually that would be its own thing, and that would be a way to describe other things. So now, 4 years later, you could look at something for people that are aware of Chult and what it means and the aesthetics and the things that go into it. You can look at something like look at there on Facebook. There was an Errol Otis cover for some Dungeon Crawl Classics module, and I said, "Wow, that looks a lot like Chult, or that looks very Chultian, or that has the Chult vibe, or something like that." And someone that I kind of knew, like on Facebook, maybe I was friends with on Facebook, but I didn't really know that person. And that person knew what I meant. And they were like, yeah, it kind of does. It's weird how, you're like tapping into the same kind of, I don't know, primordial, psychedelic, aesthetic that he is. You're both tapping into like the same, inspirational, I don't know, vortex. That's and then that's where you're getting this stuff from, I guess. And that's just, I mean, that's cool. I use Chult like in a sentence, and other people knew what that was because Chult, since its creation, has generated its own life, its own life force, its own vibe and aesthetic and wherever else. And now you could use that to describe other things. Like, oh, that's so Chult. Or, the way you're mixing, I don't know, sleazy tentacles and sword and sorcery, is very, very Chult. Or something like that. And, I don't know, I consider that kind of a magical process. And then in that same vein, speaking of, there's something in Chult, which is Zoth. And Zoth is very central to Chult. And just in my last blog post session report, I was describing something. In fact, this is very Chult. I was describing a double-headed dildo that this fuchsia elf or sky elf woman had when the ship kind of lost power for a few seconds and then righted itself back up, and then everybody was like, "What the fuck?" And so a lot of people came out into the rec room, or the central hub of where the crew or passengers kind of go to hang out or whatever. That's not the cockpit. And she went out there and just along with a bunch of other like NPCs and the PCs. And she was all naked, holding this translucent double-headed dildo. And at first I used the word Chartreuse, but I'm like, translucent, Chartreuse, double-headed dildo. It just was like, I don't know. It just seemed too word heavy, and I don't know. I just wanted to tighten it up. And so I used Zoth colored. And then it struck me afterwards that I created something in Chult, Zoth, which is this glowing, viscous, liquid, Chartreuse colored, that is the blood of the old ones, basically. Has magical properties and a lot of other properties that the Federation can refine into making their own spice to extend life, expand consciousness, obviously a reference to Dune. And but I was now using, and so Zoth was very, very much tied to the color Chartreuse, particularly a glowing Chartreuse. So now that I use the word Zoth to indicate a particular color that other people know, that also is magic. So I created something that doesn't exist, and I associated it with a certain color with enough, I'm just going to call it like belief power. That includes a whole range of ideas and activities and would energy put forth. But let's say I just believe it strong enough. We'll just say that for now. To the point where now it's so closely associated, Zoth and this Chartreuse color, that now I can use Zoth with people that are aware of Chult to describe the color Chartreuse. So kind of come, I don't know, full circle, as it were. I think that's a very cool idea. I think there's a certain amount of power in that. You're basically manipulating reality. I mean, that's one of a few different themes that I talk about in the PDF book that I last came out with, Advanced Game Mastering Like a Fucking Boss. There are various magical techniques and occultism and things like that that I talk about in there that are like that. That are like what I just described with Chult and Zoth. That, could help you out if you're a game master and you like that sort of thing. How long is this video? 12 minutes and almost 13. I should probably cut it off there because I have more to say and I don't want to go too long into this. I would rather do like a part 2 or a part 3. So, yeah, feel free to, like, subscribe, comment, share. Yeah, definitely subscribe if you haven't already, because my channel could use the help. Next video, at some point I want to talk about the end of Pundit's review, where when he was reviewing this bad boy, he glanced on immersion and something found in here that I have a lot to say about, but I don't want to take up too much time in this video because I want to save that for a whole nother video. So yeah, I welcome your comments. I will read them. And yeah, thanks for posting. Thanks for watching. Yeah, get the word out. Oh, I have a brand new Kickstarter too. I just released or just announced yesterday. It is for a Chult webcomic. And along with that Chult webcomic, I'm also trying to crowdfund for an Alpha Blue webcomic and a Purple Islands webcomic. So ultimately, if there's enough money, I want to do 3 webcomics. And I want to fund it for each one for a full year. So basically 12 issues worth. It doesn't have to be, you don't have to wait a full year. I want to get them all out by, I don't know, the end of August. All 12 issues. Each issue is just like a page or 2. But you got a lot of, enough story. The whole thing came about with this Dungeons & Dragons cartoon in the back of some old Marvel comic. And it was just really cool, like how these adventurers were in this dungeon, and it was dark, and they heard some noise or something like that, and it was just like a comic book, just like one page of their adventure, and then it was like to be continued, or it ended somehow ambiguously, I think. And I was like, well, instead of just having an ambiguous ending, what if you just like kept going with the story? Like, how cool would that be? That'd be super cool. It doesn't have to be like super great artwork. You just have this cool style, which we have with Jay Tanaka. He's the one doing the Chult comic. And I've tapped a couple other people to think about illustrating the other ones. So, I don't know. I think it's a cool idea. I just want it to come into existence. So I'm just trying to offset the costs because, I pay the artists. I do all the text and the words, the story. And then I pay the artists to sort of like, create it visually. And I want to keep paying the artists because I don't want them to do their work for free. But I don't really have a way of, at least right now, of monetizing it. I don't have like a big magazine or something like that to go around it. So yeah, this crowdfunding project, this Kickstarter, is just so I don't have to absorb all of the costs for all 12 issues times 3, if there's 3 webcomics. I will put the link in the description below. And yeah. If you have questions about that, please ask about that too. Okay, without further ado, I will catch you maybe in a couple days. Bye.